Good evening, everybody. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. It's bedtime story time. Yay! All right, for those of you who are new, welcome. On this channel, we just pretty much kick back, listen to Dave Ramsey. Sometimes I go off of Dave Ramsey onto other videos, but not too often. Okay, but basically we just kick back, listen to consumer phone calls, on the Dave Ramsey Show. We just figure out what we can learn from them, all right? For those of you who are returning, you know the routine. Kick your feet up, all right? Make yourself comfy. Get your beverage. I have in my Starbucks mug this evening, I have hot cider because it is an awesome 57 degrees here in Tampa. I love it so much. It's so cold. I just absolutely love it. So anyways, cold from Florida standards, okay? To us, it is very cold. Extra blankets tonight. Let's take a look at this video that ran earlier today on Dave Ramsey. You don't need to live in your mama's basement. The video that I uploaded yesterday, I accidentally said it was Tuesday when it was Wednesday. If you ever hear me say the wrong day of the week, it's because, well, I just got the wrong day of the week. I don't ever pre-film these. I love YouTube and all that, but they don't pay me enough money to sit and make, pre-recording. So I don't pre-record my stuff. I'd prefer to just, give it out as I make it. All right, folks, are we ready for tonight's Chit Chat? Let's go ahead and get started. You don't live in your mama's basement ran 11 hours ago today. Let's hit it.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Tom is in New York. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hello, Tom.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on today.
Sure. What's up?
So I'm currently a college student. I just graduated with my undergraduate degree, and I'm now working towards an MBA. And I'll graduate here in about a year from now, so this upcoming December. And I was just wondering, if I should continue to, rent in this area or move back home with my parents who live in New Jersey.
Now?
New Jersey's probably a whole lot cheaper than, I think you said New York.
Or when you graduate with the MBA?
No, when I graduate, yeah, because the timing with the leases and stuff for the apartment that I'm currently in, I'll have to renew, sometime this spring if I decide to stay.
Where's your job going to be?
It's going to be either in New York City or Jersey City, so very, very close commute from where I'm currently living.
Okay, so I think his parents live in Jersey. His $90,000 a year job is in New York. Geez, I hope I have that right.
How old are you?
Then why would you move?
I'm 22.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. Why would you move?
The rent here is very expensive. We'll say the nice thing is I spend currently $2,000 a month in rent. But I do live with my brother who's graduated. He's a full-time job. So that's the nice aspect. I know it's $2,000 is very expensive.
For New York prices, that's not that bad.
What will you be making?
I'm not too sure with mine. My estimate is about 90 to 95.
Okay. It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. So, but I didn't know if it's like, a good decision to tie up so much of my, income into, rent just for the sake of not commuting 4 hours a day or 3 hours a day.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. It would be about New Jersey, New York, 4-hour day commute. Probably most of that is sitting in traffic.
It's part of life.
Okay.
Part of growing up is not living in mama's basement. You're a grown man with an MBA making $90,000. You don't live in your mother's basement. I
could see him living, quote, in his mother's basement. Okay, I could see him living in his mother's basement at 22 if he were going to take that money and bank it all and then get himself a piece of property or some, big goal like that. Okay. Just simply, live in a mama's basement because, you have no goals, you have no aspirations. That's a total different thing. But if it's really, I can pay my parents, give them $500 a month rent or whatever, and the rest of it all goes into a savings account to advance me on a piece of property, and that's agreeable to the parents, I don't see what the problem is with that. Might be a little different if he was, like I said, 30 years old, living at home, no dreams, no aspirations, eating Takis, okay, in his mother's basement. That might be different, but he's clearly a college grad. I hope the student loans were kind to him.
Okay.
And that's just part of life. In New York City, 2,000 isn't bad, dude. I mean, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. Well, it's like 4,000, but I split the rent with my brother, which is
I know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I had roommates up until I was married. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think the roommate thing is something that a lot of young people also kind of forget about. Okay. I think there are too many young people out there that believe that once they've graduated from school, that somehow or another the car, the 2-car garage, maybe even a 3-car garage, the car that goes along with it to park in the garage, all the luxuries, okay, of life. I think a lot of young people, not all, but I think a lot of them feel that that's supposed to come immediately. Like, I've graduated from college, I should be able to live on my own. When in reality, a lot of people will actually have a roommate well into their 20s and possibly into their 30s. And depending upon how you have budgeted your money over the years, you could have a roommate even longer than that. But I think there's just sort of that expectation, probably fed by social media, IG and stuff, Instagram, that people think, oh, I've got my degree, I should be living a lavish lifestyle. When in reality, more young people in their 20s, should have roommates. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
Okay.
and you have a reasonable life as far as commute goes and those kinds of things. Ultimately, you may end up making the decision that 100,000 or 90,000 is not enough to live in the city. It may or may not be. You can.
I thought about that, honestly. $90,000 in New York. I make a little over 60,000 in Tampa. Okay, they're equivalent. If not, New York might be even a little bit worse. So that 90,000 in New York, I mean, like if I were going to move to New York, I would even bat an eye. I mean, I wouldn't even look at an employer unless they were close to the 100,000 mark to just even start.
You can decide that later. But as your first step following your MBA and following getting your new $90,000 job, is not to move back home with your mom. No, I would not do that. I think that would be a mistake in a lot of ways. But I think it's just part of life, man. And then you got to start thinking about, okay, at what point where am I going to be living that I end up putting down roots and buying something? But you don't have to decide that in the next.
But this is where if he were to live at home, there should be a very specific reason, not just move home. But the 4-hour commute is just that would keep me from moving home. That alone would do it. It's like, nah. But if he were going to live at home, and the problem is then he's got to factor in the 4-hour commute. And here's the other factor. He may have to factor in more medical bills. Sitting in a car, if he says it's a 4-hour commute, and I'm assuming that's one way, especially if you're talking New York traffic, I'm assuming. Okay, it might be 2 ways, okay? Not really familiar with that area, okay? But that's a lot of sitting down time in a car, which can, even though he's young, okay, it could bring on additional medical issues. Again, he's young, he could probably deal with it, but these are things that people have to consider. At least as we get older, we have to consider that. What is your time worth? If he can afford to stay there with his brother, I think that's a better arrangement.
24 months. I mean, just get the job, enjoy the ride right now. You've done a great job.
All right, folks. Ooh, wasn't that exciting? All right. So that is the end of that one. That was only 3 minutes. Oh my goodness. And I kept that to 8 minutes. Yay me. All right. Let's do another one, shall we? Just because. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and we're not even going to pause. We're just going to keep going right through. Sometimes when they're a little longer, I pause. All right. Let's see which one should we do next. Let's do this one. This is from a month ago. All right. Let's do a month ago. Okay. I try to do one old, one new, one white, one blue. Okay. So, my girlfriend sees me as a $, and this ran a month ago. Let's just go straight into it. Yay.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
What's going on, Joe?
Hi, Joe.
Hey, I was calling in. I was wondering, how do I go about dating when I come from an affluent family?
Brag much? I shouldn't say that. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. It's just, how should I go about dating when I'm just so beautiful that every man wants me? How should I go about dating when I drive a car that only people could dream of driving? I'm sorry.
Many girls' parents will see me as a big dollar sign.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes. How should I go about dating when I have so much wealth that every woman wants me? And I mean, I just don't know where to look, I mean, they're clawing at me.
Instead of seeing me for who I am.
Well, here's my suggestion, Joe. I'm willing to guess. I'm willing to guess that this guy, okay. I don't want, we don't know who Joe is, but let's just go with my suspicions. Joe makes sure that everybody knows he's wealthy. This is kind of, like I said, be like, oh, what is that? I saw a YouTube video not long ago, and it was by women talking about how hard it was to date because they're just so beautiful and all these guys want them. And I'm thinking, oh, you poor thing. I guess my video would be, how do I go about dating when I have such good skin and everybody wants it? It's all they see. I mean, my skin is just miraculous. It is true. I do have great skin, however.
And I was wondering what your thoughts are, because I face that problem with many families.
How do they know?
That's what I was going to say.
They know George because he makes damn sure they know. It's just kind of like a bump. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I accidentally bump you? Oh yes, I'm so sorry. I spilled red wine on your shirt. Oh, don't worry. My family's really wealthy. This red wine is bad. In fact, it's not even worth our time to take it and buff it off. I'll just buy me another designer shirt. Absolutely no problem. I'm personal friends with the designers.
Usually when you meet a girl's parents, they ask you what your parents do for work, which is
okay, I can tell you in all the years that when I was dating, okay, and my parents would meet the guy that I was dating, okay, this was obviously years ago. None of them ever asked what my boyfriend's family did for work. They might ask my boyfriend, hey, what do you do? They never asked what my boyfriend's family did. As a matter of fact, my boyfriend's parents weren't even a topic of conversation. Maybe I just had a strange upbringing.
is a very normal thing to ask somebody. And then
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's not normal. They may want to know what you do for work. But as I say, hey, can you tell me what your great grandparents do for work? We want to make sure we approve. Why do I think for bedtime, tea time, this guy is way up in his head about himself? But he's trying to come across all innocent, all soft spoken, like it's just the impression I'm getting.
When you tell them you come from
Can we ask you what do your parents do for work?
Well, it's more of my family. I have multiple cardiologists in my family between my cousins and everyone.
Okay. Who cares?
So that's
And that's your leading talking point when you're on a date? I don't understand how your whole family comes up in this situation.
Well, he makes sure it does because he wants to impress the ladies and get them to think that they should be honored to be in his presence. I hate to break it to you, Joe. When I was married, my ex had a home business. We dealt with very, very wealthy people, cardiologists and all. I can honestly tell you, we didn't care. Okay, so you're making it a big deal. Joe's the one making it a big deal. Joe has it built up in his head that he, or at least his family, if not he himself, is all that. I think this may be more in Joe's head as an ego boost. Just my thinking.
Well, not when you're on a date, but when the girl brings you around her parents.
And the first thing the parents say is, so what do your parents do? We ain't living in the Victorian era, the Victorian era, okay, where the family tree with the great big pictures on the wall, usually a pink and red wall, okay, all right, with the gold frame, all right, talking about what the generations of families do. And do you come from good blood? Do you come from the bloodline that we want to have in our family? We don't live in that era anymore.
Okay, so what's your family's net worth? Like, just your immediate family. What's the net worth of your parents?
It's substantial.
Like
Very.
10 million, 20 million?
Yes.
Okay. So I would not have garnered that just from you talking to me. I would have thought, oh, they're doctors. That's great.
Joe, for your family having as much money as they have, you don't speak very articulately. Me thinks that either this family is a figment of your imagination, or you're kind of the black sheep and you write off of them because you haven't achieved anything yourself. For somebody who comes from a for someone who comes from a family, as you say, of, oh my God, so much money, I'm surprised you're not more articulate, better spoken. Just a thought. Makes me almost wonder if you just simply lived through your family's wealth. Let's just assume it's true. Okay. You live through your family's wealth. That is what you hold up in the air. My family's wealth. Why don't you hold up what you do and just talk about what you do? Leave your family out of it. There's no reason for anyone to know what your extended family does, because in all honesty, probably most people don't care.
If I said to you, Joe, what do your parents do? And you said, oh, they're in the medical field. And I said, really? Well, what do they do in the medical field? If you said, oh, my dad's a heart surgeon and my mom's a anesthesiologist,
I'd say, oh, that's cool. I wouldn't sit there and go, oh my God, be still my heart. Are you wealthy? Are you rich? How rich is your family? Please.
Real talk, I would be like, okay, they got some coin. Like, I would just derive that, but I don't think that I would even think to ask further. No. I wouldn't go, really? So how has that calculated? So how are they getting to the point of knowing? Does your family have a name that people recognize?
No. What I'm willing to bet is Joe here hasn't done squat with his life, and so he makes sure to live vicariously through the success of his family. Because I'm sorry, Joe don't speak like no cardiologist. Okay? Joe doesn't come across with confidence. He comes across as a very shy boy, in all honesty. Okay? He makes sure that they know through just that slip of conversation while he's having tea with them. Oh, and did I mention that we are worth 20 million? And then he wants the ladies to all go, oh my God, please, I am so honored to be with you.
In the community?
That is correct. Yes.
In Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, so is there a name on a hospital or something like?
Oh my God, I was thinking the exact same thing, because I will tell you, we have one of the wealthiest families. The wealthiest. Okay? No, they are the wealthiest in Tampa, and probably one of the wealthiest in the United States. Lives about, I don't know, maybe 2 miles from me. We pass their humongous compound every day. Just little blue collar people. We pass this humongous coupon. I'm not going to, and his name is on the community hospital right up the street. Okay, but guess what? It's not something I think people really care about. We're kind of used to seeing their mansion. It's like behind a big brick wall, got the hospital name. And from what I hear, they're actually outstanding people. And if this holds true, okay, they do a lot of stuff for the community. I think they're like billionaires. Okay, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking millions. We're talking billions. Okay, and they live amongst just us regular, common folk. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're in a very expensive community. I believe John Gruden, who used to be the coach for the Buccaneers, I believe John Gruden lived in the same area. But when I say compound, it's the parents' house. And then they built a house for each of their daughters on the compound also. So you're talking the grand castle. And believe me, it looks like a castle. Okay. And then you've got 2 houses, probably about 6,000 to 10,000 square feet each for the two or three daughters that they have. And ain't nobody, and here's the thing, nobody's jealous over it. At least not that I'm aware of. We've watched, it's taken them, I think around a decade. It took them to build it.
Like that?
Yes, it is.
I see. Okay.
So it's much more obvious than you having to bring it up and talk about it.
Exactly. That's
well, what
correct.
is the?
Oh, you know what? He's intentionally bringing it up. He's making sure that everybody knows. Trust me on this, George and Jade. Okay, he's making darn sure everybody knows.
The family have to do with it. What is your fear going into this? They see you as a dollar sign. What does that mean to you?
Well, it just really worries me because I have to wonder what the girl's parents are going to tell their daughter when I'm not around.
This guy is so full of himself. This guy's full of himself. Seriously, he's got nothing better to do with his time but call in and say, I'm just so worried that, the parents of the women, EN, that I'm dating, they're going to just be sitting and judging me. I hate to break it to you, but parents who are well-grounded aren't going to care. Parents who are well-grounded, it's like they're not going to care. They have their own lives to live. And it's not jealousy. They're just not going to care.
Like, don't let him go. Make sure you do. Don't. I get it.
Oh, my parents couldn't care less. My parents, I'm telling you, my parents live on a farm. They've seen the world. They've adopted kids from war. My parents couldn't give two rats but if you were wealthy or not. It would have no impact whatsoever on them.
Taking more interest in me than other people.
Yeah, because the guy can't get a date. Perhaps maybe he's lacking in the looks area, so he spends a lot of time obsessing. See, I'd be more impressed if he was saying this was his money. What does he do? If he said, I'm a cardiologist, okay? I make, I don't know, what cardiologist, a few million a year. Okay. So far, I don't know what he does. Like I said, he could just be riding off his family's name.
Well, I think you're going to need some discernment as you date to just go, is her heart in it? Would she have married me if my family was broke? Is that really a big factor? How are you finding these dates currently?
Swipe left, swipe right.
Well, just around town, in church, things
Like I said, swipe left or right.
like that. I try to stay off the internet, but, that's
All the church girls are on the internet too, okay?
kind of this day and age.
Yeah.
So the people in your church,
They must know your family?
Yes,
Okay.
That's correct.
so there's part of this that could be very real, and there's part of this that could be perceived, right? Because if I go to my home church, people know, oh, Jade, she works for Ramsey. She's on the Ramsey show. Like, she has this cool job. But it doesn't really change. I could talk myself into thinking they're going to see me different and they're going to talk to me different. But it doesn't really change anything because they've been knowing me for 10 years, however long I've been at the church. So is there a piece of this that you're just worried about it, or have you seen it play out and actually be a reality?
This is the guy that's living in his mother's basement, okay?
There was an instance where I was talking to a girl at a wedding that I'd met, and the father wanted to get his daughter and leave the wedding. Everybody was leaving.
Uh-huh.
And he asked the groom what my name was, and he told the father my name, and the father said, okay, well, we'll just wait around and give them a minute to talk to each other.
Weird.
I mean, that's weird, but that's also, like, I feel like you should expect for there to be some, like, jerk moves or, dumb. People are going to have dumb moments, for sure.
People are going to, you're right, Jade. People have dumb moments, whether you're married, whether you're wealthy or not. They're going to have dumb moments.
Sure, but I definitely don't want that to talk you out of dating a really nice girl. And because here's the thing, whether wealthy or not, you're going to go down the line with plenty of girls thinking, I liked her, and then it's not going to work out. Regardless of having wealth, you might get to the point of thinking this is the one, and then it doesn't work out. I think that's happened to everybody, right?
He almost sounds like he's been rejected. Doesn't he? I mean, maybe it's just his tone or the way he's coming across. He would bore me to death if I had to sit and listen to him on a date. I wouldn't care how much money he had.
And so I think that you're going to know pretty early in whether someone has ulterior motives or not. And maybe that's you developing kind of your own
Spidey sense
or a little sneaky screening test that you do when you're talking to people, or there's a little checklist of red flags that you look for when they're talking to you. Are they talking about money in a way that you think is a red flag? Are they asking you more questions about your family than they're asking about you, right?
And one of the red flags I would have is if all he does is talk about his family's wealth. Okay, that would be one red flag. Okay, he makes darn sure I know what the wealth is. Another red flag would be he's done nothing himself. All of the achievements is through his family, but he himself has not done anything. That to me would be a red flag. Years ago when I was married, okay, we had not a roommate, but we had kind of like a mother-in-law suite on our place. Okay, a garage converted. That's what it was. A garage converted to a rental. This was like over a decade ago. And it turned out the rental person, if you can believe it, was the grandson, and I'm not going to say what company it was, to a very, very well-known bacon company. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, they make bacon, a bunch of other food products. And at first we're like, there is no way. Well, it turns out the grandson lived in Tampa, didn't work. Let me tell you, this kid did not work at all. And he would just kind of bounce around the country. And he's like, well, it was their turn to stay in Tampa. They decided to stay in Tampa. They didn't want to go through, the whole rental stuff. We were like, why would you want to live in a converted garage? Well, actually, when you met him, incredibly down to earth. I mean, just absolutely down to earth. He had his girlfriend, he and his girlfriend. And it's like, yeah, he had a trust fund, okay, that was given to him each month. All right. He did not have to work at all. Okay. The trust fund wasn't so much that it made him a rich. It wasn't like that. Okay. But it made him enough money. He was in his early 20s. He never needs to work. Just never needs to work. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Not here to debate that. Yeah. So, and he was absolutely down to earth. Nothing like this caller. Nothing. And we knew that how he was related to this food company, being a grandson. It was like, and really, we just said, oh, that's wonderful. We didn't sit and ask for the dollars and the stock figures and everything else. And they stayed for a few months and they moved on. It was pretty cool.
I think it's you going, okay, what is it that I need to be looking for when I'm going on dates? Also, who is it? Like if somebody is setting me up, who do I trust to say, oh, I have a friend, they'll be, because I do think that the circle of people that you get in is really important.
Well, I think he's also attracting the type of women through his own actions. It's kind of like attracts like. If you're obsessed with your family's money, then don't be surprised when you get a woman who's obsessed with your money. If all you do is talk about your family's money, then don't be surprised when that's what you get. You want to get a different quality woman. You want to get somebody who's got, a bit more substance. Then don't discuss your family's wealth. I have never, in 56 years, okay, I have never talked to a gal pal. I've never experienced it myself, where the parents say, what does your boyfriend's parents do? I mean, maybe that's the life of the rich and famous. I have never experienced it myself.
Because people know each other, right? And it's like at my church, the folks that I roll with at my church, they know people, and I know that the people they know are good people. And then since those people are good people, it's almost like birds of a feather flocking together.
True.
And so I would probably just decide like, hey, I don't really... There's certain people that if they say, hey, I have somebody I'm going to set you up on a date with, I'm like, okay, no, thank you.
Yeah. I also wonder if he got out of his own circle, Joe, would that help because they don't know you from Adam at that point?
That's also good.
To where they're seeking you out for the right reasons. And my worry is that it's going to be more paranoia in your head of like, oh gosh, they're trying to get up the family's money and they don't really care about me. And that's what I don't want you to have. I would just walk into it and just be Joe and take things slow, ask the right questions, establish boundaries, be transparent. That's the best thing you can do. And
I don't think Joe himself is all that. I think Joe rides on his family. That's my personal opinion. I think Joe rides on his family. We never heard about what Joe does, right? Is Joe just nothing but a figment of his own imagination? All right, folks, we are at the 30-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and we are going to call it done for this evening. Wasn't this wonderful? It's Thursday night. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. I would like to thank you so much for joining me this evening. I do hope you will consider subscribing. For those of you that are going to bed like I am, you have yourself a restful sleep. For those of you that will listen to this at work tomorrow, be safe. For those of you that will listen to this while you are exercising, don't forget to check that heart rate. And for those of you that will be listening to this with tea and your toast, don't forget to save me a slice. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit Chat. You have a great rest of your Thursday night. Goodbye.